Congressman Paul Broun. Congressman Broun is part of the GOP's Physician Caucus and one of the first members of Congress to propose a total repeal of the Health Care Reform Act. Dr. Broun, Congressman Broun, welcome here.
It's great being with you, Judge.
Thank you.
It's, I'll tell you what, the American people need to hear more of what you talk about with the Constitution. As you know, I'm an original intent constitutionalist. There are very few of us in Congress today.
You're kind. Thank you, Congressman. What are your thoughts on the decision by Judge Vinson to declare the entire Health Care Reform Act unconstitutional?
Well, the entire bill is unconstitutional. As you know, that there was no separation clause that would separate one piece of it from another. So any little piece of it that's unconstitutional would invalidate the whole bill, which I'm happy about that. But the whole bill is unconstitutional. In fact, there's nothing in this document, the Constitution of the United States, for the federal government to be doing most of what it's doing, and certainly there's no authority for the federal government to mandate to individuals or to states as Obamacare does. 3/4 of America would like to see us to do health care reform in a step-by-step basis. That's a recent poll.
Right.
Most of America wants to see us repeal it, and I introduced a bill that would do just that. Repeal it and replace it with something that makes sense in a step-by-step manner.
You and I have discussed this, Congressman Brown, on air and off. Why is it that you think that so many of your colleagues, take, for example, Congressman Jim Clyburn, the number 3 ranking, or he was at the time, I'm not sure how the Democrats rank their leadership, ranking Democrat in the House, who said candidly, most of what we do in Washington is not authorized by the Constitution. Why do you think your colleagues have that attitude, that they just want to cut as big a piece of the pie and send it home, and don't care about that document that you just held up, which every one of them has taken an oath to uphold?
Well, you're exactly right. I think it's all about power and control. I think that a lot of people go to Washington with the idea that they know what's better for us than we do. And in fact, in the document, if you can see, the founding fathers believe very firmly in we the people, and we the people need to stand up and speak and say, enough is enough. There's enough of this big government. There's enough of the spending and the deficit and the debt that we are creating. There's enough of the federal government taking over our health care system, and we need to have our politicians to understand that Obamacare and the federal takeover of GM and Chrysler, of the bailout of the Wall Street bankers and things like that are totally against what the Constitution gives the federal government the authority to do. That's the reason why I said, go ahead.
Congressman Brown, will you vote to raise the debt ceiling because of the Christmas tree ornaments that the Republican leadership will put on it to try and entice votes like yours? Or is now the time to draw a line in the sand and say enough is enough, the Ponzi scheme is over, we're not going to let the Treasury borrow any more money no matter what happens?
Well, I'm leaning to vote no. I'll tell you, we need to stop the outrageous spending. I disagree with the governor who you just interviewed. And the thing is, I don't think we have to not pay our debts by saying no to raising the debt ceiling. I think there are many other ways of handling this problem. Certainly he's right. The debt ceiling is being pushed by the outrageous spending that Nancy Pelosi and company have pushed through Congress in the last really 4 years. In fact, George Bush was a big spender also, and Republicans and Democrats alike have been big spenders. They have not done what the Constitution requires in having a very limited government. The federal government under the Constitution in its original intent should only be doing the 18 things that Article 1, Section 8 gives us the authority to do. And Judge, as you and I have talked off camera before, I believe very firmly that God's right in Hosea 4:6 when he says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. We have a tremendous lack of knowledge in this country, in the American people, about how much freedom and liberty we've lost. We have a tremendous lack of knowledge about the proper function of the federal government under the Constitution. There are very few original intent constitutionalists in Congress today. This last election gave us a bunch more. So I'm extremely excited. We've got to say no to this bigger government, no to this increased spending, no to Obamacare, no to the loss of freedom and liberty that we see going on. And so my inclination right now is to vote no.
Congressman Broun, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Think health care reform is jazz?